What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Salty Runback, here to be your weekly intake of North American Developmental League of Legends. The air is getting crisp and cool here in the Northeast. We are getting ready for Worlds season as the first 2 days have already concluded. We saw our first look at a North American representative at the World Championships. We'll get into that in a little bit because there's a little bit to talk about there. As well as the Americans tournament concluding. We also had a ton go on in the collegiate space with HUEFest happening, as well as some other announcements that we will get into shortly about the future of NA Developmental. It's our first off-season episode, I guess we can say, of Salty Runback between 24 and 25. We're excited to get into all of it. My name is Grapes, joined alongside Hawk. Hawk, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, Grapes. I totally didn't oversleep the start of this episode. We're totally recording when we meant to originally, but we can blame 100 Thieves for what transpired earlier.
Just, they caused you so much
oh my god,
distraught that you
I had
just
to sleep it off.
for 4 hours.
I had to sleep it off. Yeah. But no, it was a fun series. But regardless, I do want to point out I had the same conversation with Yanni when I guest casted NACC on Tuesday. He said the air is getting crisp and cool. It's fall, yada yada, and I'm like, that doesn't really happen here. I'm a little
the weather is just the same in LA.
Yeah, there's not really fall vibes in Los Angeles. Like, it is cooler than it is during the summer. You know, like it's like mid 70s, which is beautiful, but it's not fall vibes, right? So kind of miss it. Fall was always my favorite season. I'll have to get myself some pumpkin ass spice.
I feel like,
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like walking outside in the air is cool, and then going onto my phone and just seeing that Worlds is live and like Worlds is happening. That's my sign that like fall is really happening.
I feel like
really
okay, I don't know if I'm crazy. I feel like there's like a fall smell.
Yeah,
like a
definitely.
crispiness. Yeah.
Yeah, because the leaves are falling. You get
right.
Yeah.
And that I miss that. I'm missing that right now.
I associate that with like the Worlds theme. Like normal people like associate that with like, you know, Halloween and back to school. I associate it with the World Championship. 100%.
It is great, by the way, how Worlds, with the exception of MLB playoffs, generally does not like overlap with a ton of other major sporting events. So like it's like got its kind of own part of the year.
Yeah.
And
the NFL
I value
Sundays
Worlds higher than
October
for MLB. So
now it's like in Europe, so I think the finals will probably be happening like midday in the US, which is like if it's on a Sunday. I don't know if it's on a Sunday or not. That's gonna be like right in the middle of NFL season, like right in the middle of like your red zone.
True. I guess NFL's going on.
So
dude,
that'll
fall's
be
a good time for sports. Fall's a good time for sports.
Great time for sports and esports, as we'll be talking about here. Make sure to check out our social media as well as all of our other content that we're going to be delivering throughout the off season, and make sure to stick around to our part 2. We'll be talking to Blue Otter's mid laner Samikin for a very, very fun interview. But let's get into our headlines right away, Hawk. We'll start off with the NA challenge, or the Tier 2 America's Challengers Tournament, some international before the World Championships, where it was not the way that we expected it to go. The finals between Pain Gaming and Fear X Starforge were won for the Aegis, a true fearless best of 5 that went all the way to 5 games. At the very end, a Baron Steal resulted in the CBLOL Academy taking it over the NACL. You compound that with the fact that Rainbow 7 defeated 100 Thieves at Worlds earlier today. Has CBLOL and LLA caught up to the LCS and the NACL in terms of just region strength?
I think this is a really interesting question. I'm going to start my answer with my actual answer because I don't want people like going like, oh, like, ah! At this question. Like, no, I think it's too early to call. You know what I mean? That like I don't think CBLOL and Latin America are on the same level as North America. I do still think the best teams from the LCS are stronger than the best teams from Latin America and from the CBLOL. Like, and I have a few reasons for this. One, specifically looking at America's Challengers, I do think there was a big misconception going in from a lot of North American fans that like level of skill from first place LCS through like like first seed LCS CBLOL, like first seed tier 1 to last place Academy, right, is like this linear progression. And I think what Pain Gaming showed is that that's just not really true. And also Fuego, right? And so I don't think it's so much like, oh, we're all on the same playing field because there is this linear progression. Like, no, I just think like, the one seed from Academy and CBLOL could be better than the best teams from NACL or have the better week than the best teams in NACL. And like, that doesn't necessarily mean that LCS is on that same level, right? Like, I think it's just not a linear progression. And CBLOL has always actually had a lot of good native talent. It's a pretty deep talent pool compared to, I think, like some regions. And that's not necessarily always been CBLOL's problem as a region. So that's reason number one. And then reason number two is Rainbow Seven beating 100 Thieves. Like, I do think 100 Thieves is kind of the bastard child of the North American representatives at this Worlds. Sure. Yeah, the little brother is a way better phrase. Like, yeah, they're the little brother of the North American teams at Worlds this year. I'm also willing to chalk some of their loss up to like jitters. Like, I think River had a great series, but I do think after game 1, where Quid like 1v9'd, he had a great game 1. I do think he kind of had a bad game 2 and 3. He just looked out of sorts. Sniper was making mistakes. I think Tomo was making mistakes. Honestly, Ayla, I thought had a pretty good series altogether, which I didn't really expect. I'm willing to chalk some of it up.
Also made
to
a couple
like,
of mistakes. He also got caught out a couple
times.
Oh,
yeah. But I'm willing to chalk some of it up to like choking. And, R7's the best team from Latin America, and they got it done. And so, like, no, I don't think that, like, all of a sudden LCS is on the same playing field as the wildcard teams. But, yeah, they've leveled up, and they earned their keep. And I do think we got a little complacent, perhaps.
I agree with you on a lot of those points. However, I do think it is interesting now that as Americas is going to be turning into a combined ordeal for 2025, like, how much of that major region advantage that we as North America have had for so long will be going away as we head into a new era of Americas. Yep. Because I feel like a lot of the reasons that NA could often be perceived as better than Brazil or Latin America is, I think, in part, like, our native talent pool is pretty large. We have a lot of really good players that are native. But also, in terms of the money financially, as well as, the imports that we were able to draw because we were a quote-unquote major region, I think that the pull from the LCS is often bigger than the CBLOL and LLA in terms of imports. Like, you never see the best, like, you never see, like, a Core JJ join the Brazilian league a lot of the time. Like, when CBLOL gets imports, or when LLA gets imports, it's people like Summit or Route, who didn't necessarily have the biggest success in the East, but then ended up deciding to find another opportunity in other regions. I think that some of that is going to go away once the Americas region comes up, once equal amounts of spots at Worlds open up. And
yeah,
in terms of our performances in these events, like, that definitely is something to take note of. Do I think that out of 100 best of fives, like, to go back to last week's question, do Fearx Starforge beat Pain, and do 100 Thieves beat Rainbow Seven more often than not? I would say yes, but the gap's not as big as we think.
Yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly. Like, I think Latin America and CBLOL over the last couple of weeks have really earned some quality wins, but I don't think that I don't think it reflects on our region too heavily. Hopefully,
yeah. Hopefully. I do like your point as well that 100 Thieves was definitely like there was like it's TL and Fly, then a big gap,
and like
should have been Cloud9.
That was a low quality series. You know what I mean? Like, I even think for 100 Thieves, like, I was watching that series and I'm like, God, that was such a fucking fiesta. Like, they didn't play very well, but also, like, it was very winnable, and there's, like, a lot of obvious mistakes that I think they don't make if they play 100 best of threes, right? To your point. Yeah. So, yeah.
That Marvin guy, though, pretty good.
Yeah, that guy's nice.
On Pain Gaming. That was
nice.
Not someone I expected to really be talking about a lot, but he had himself a great series. All right. Well, let's move on real quick. Take a bit of a detour before we get back into this Americas discussion to talk about collegiate. We got the Hue Invitational that wrapped up last weekend. A big congratulations to Winthrop University for defending their title, winning with the same 5 players for the second straight year in a win over Ole Miss in the grand finals. What was your biggest takeaway from HUEFest? It doesn't necessarily have to be about Winthrop. It could be about any of the teams or just the state of collegiate in general.
So, full disclosure, I actually did not get to watch any of the games, so I'm going to keep my takes pretty general. 1, Winthrop Fall LAN merchants, bro. I believe it was Grapes that made the comparison to the Eagles in the NFL, who also like to have a good start and then fall apart later on. I'm stealing your analogy. That's
they have the potential to change that this year, but over the last couple
I mean,
of
I'm
years,
rooting for them. Don't get me wrong. Just extremely funny that they managed to win Hugh again. And then also, I think the bigger one for me is that this ISU team, we literally had this conversation last week about like how good can they be. I think they're going to be pretty good. I really do think they're not overwhelmingly individually outclassed anywhere, and I really do think a player like Music is maybe exactly what ISU needs to become a top 8 contender. And so really cool that they made top 4 at Hugh.
I don't remember who exactly they lost to, but they did end up in the top 4 of the bracket, I believe, only dropping one game in the group stage, and then of course
they went 6-1, and then I want to say it was Winthrop against UST and Ole Miss against ISU.
Yeah, so ISU only lost to UST in the group stage, and then they ended up losing to Ole Miss in the semifinals.
Yeah,
and then UST Winthrop. That's a matchup that I feel like
that's a big win for Winthrop, by the way.
Yeah, no Shaden just yet. It was Novabot playing the jungle, but Array was there, Trevor was there, Porsche was there, Robbie was there. Like everyone else was there. The whole squad was there except for Shaden. Do you think that we have to again take no pun intended, but take what we saw at Hugh from Winthrop with a bit of a grain of salt, because of the fact that a lot of the big rosters weren't in full strength. Obviously, Shaden will be playing with UST as we go forward. Ole Miss will be playing with a different mid laner, and Shogo will be down in the bottom lane. I think Asila is currently listed as their starter in ACL, but I don't know what exactly that situation is going to look like.
And also, Maryville wasn't there.
Who knows what that Maryville roster is going to look like, by the way, as well. Because hopefully, knock on wood, some of those players are doing bigger and better things in 2025. But yeah, a lot of other big dogs, but Winthrop just establishing themselves that we are still here. Even though we didn't run that same roster of 5 in NACL, we are still a very good team. I hope that we get to see a lot more of them.
Definitely still a contender.
And they definitely have the biggest chip on their shoulder coming into this year.
Agree.
ISU, man, pretty fun as well. And my take is that from the screenshots that I saw and from the one game of groups that I was able to watch on the stream, Devin's got to be in NACL next year, man. That guy's
Devin
so good.
Is crazy.
That guy's so good. Every time we talk Converse,
so
we
excited
go back to
for this
the
Converse team, by the way. I know I was a hater last year, but I do think this Devin Phantom Star Converse, pretty nice, man. Pretty nice. I rated them higher than some in the ACL committee.
Even the Northwood game in the championship bracket, Devin popped off in that series too. I feel like he's always popping off no matter what. No matter what the rest of his team is doing, and I think that's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Good luck, Devin.
Yeah.
I hope you have a good CBLOL
07
season, if not more. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this headlines, I think, here, Hawk, which is the big article that came out on September 18th. So 8 days ago. We're a little bit late. Apologies for that. But it outlined.
We're really good at recording the day before news comes.
It was literally as we were about to release the episode.
It happens really
the article
frequently.
Gets dropped.
Yeah.
Very fun. But there was 2 articles. One of them came out about the Tier 1 space in general. We're not going to talk about that one too much. Our focus will be on the Tier 2 Americas update that came out 8 days ago that featured a ton of different updates of what the developmental space is going to look like for 2025 and beyond. Long story short, a very similar format in terms of all of the leagues are kind of keeping their same names. NACL is going to be joined by the LRN, which was the northern part of the LLA, and then the CBLOL Academy will be joined by the LRS.
Wait, I thought we were all keeping our separate Tier 2 leagues.
They're gonna have our
you mean in
their
playoffs,
qualifiers look different. It goes down to the playoffs and
sorry,
the promotions,
yeah.
system. So those guys go up to the north. We have a promotion tournament that actually looks relatively similar to the NACL promotion tournament, where there's best of fives at the end, but or it's all best of fives actually, I should say. But it's a double elimination bracket that combines the top two seeds from the NACL and the LRN, and the guest slot. So 5 teams, two make it back into the league, or one makes it back into the league. I'm misremembering a lot of this stuff.
It's okay. It's okay.
And after that, a lot of other things that ended up happening in terms of amateur and Tier 3, as well as the implementation of sister teams from the LCS and collegiate teams maybe playing a different role. What's your favorite and your least favorite part of these Tier 2 changes? And then we can kind of discuss all of them.
So sort of TLDR for all of that. Not a lot is actually changing for Tier 2. Like, it feels like Riot just kind of doesn't really want to touch it, which I actually think is overall pretty good. I think for me, the biggest positive is we're not really losing anything, which I know was a big concern, honestly, when we heard all this coming out, because, like, for example, at the Tier 1 level, it is kind of, I've said this before, I feel like it's just downsizing in disguise. And the Tier 2 changes do not feel like this, which is very good. You know, everyone seemingly is going to get to keep their spot, and we're chilling. So I think that will kind of be my positive. I unfortunately do think the few things that are changing are kind of negatives, mainly being, and you know, they're not grand systematic changes. They're just sort of like like little asterisks to go with everything, mainly being the lack of collegiate and LCS affiliate teams. I do think is pretty unfortunate. I understand why, but I would have really liked if there was some, you know, they can play in the league, they just can't promote or something like that. I don't know. I'm bummed that seemingly the two most sustainable outlets for the scene for players are no longer there, and they were oftentimes seen as really great opportunities. But we don't really know what that's going to look like yet. So like kind of asterisk on that. And then the biggest negative change is that we straight up only have two splits. There's no winter Tier 2 split.
Yeah. So does that mean that there's going to be like a longer off season?
So there's nothing until like March for Tier 2. Is
Interesting.
what's seemingly happening. And obviously I kind of get it. Yeah, I kind of get it because like winter split is kind of small and weird for Tier 1.
Yeah, definitely.
But also like I don't know. I don't love that.
You know what I'm hearing,
wish
Hawk?
we could have mirrored. What's up?
I'm hearing that there's an open gap to run a tournament in 2025. The Salty Runback Invitational with all 10 NACL teams. Oh man, put me in for that. No.
Dude, no, well, we can't do all. We got to do something different. But
the not Academy Champions League.
You're kind of spitting, Graves.
I think on your note
Academy Draft League.
Oh, that would be fun. On your note about like Tier 3 integration and like the fact that there's no sister teams and collegiate teams, we'll get into that in our next headline because I think it's a broader conversation that we have to talk about, just the state of where we are in the space. In terms of the changes that I think are good, I do like that. Not a change, but as you said, a lot of things are staying the same, including full fearless getting implemented for the split, at least from an entertainment value perspective, and just, you know, you can argue good or bad for developmental. I like that was our own little flair that we had going into Tier 2. I was watching Worlds and it's like, why is Sniper playing Kasante 3 times in a row? He wouldn't have been able to do that in NACL. Yeah, he talked a lot of game about maybe busting out the Riven and just played Kasante 3 times. Don't know if that's his fault or not.
Dude, taking a selfie with with Summit just to play Kasante 3 games is honestly like crazy levels of disrespect.
Yeah. I do think that in the current system of how the NACL had functioned it was set up in this last year, adding the promotion spot was a necessity and had to happen. And I'm glad that that's happening, and I'm glad that there's like a good in-depth like tournament that will occur to allow for those spots to be decided. If it was kind of some half-ass thing where it was, you know, a bunch of like best of threes, like 2 best of threes get played and that decides who's like playing the league. Don't love that too much, but it's 7 best of 5s that will be happening over the course of an entire week, which I'm a big fan of. And I also like how the teams that get promoted into the tier 1 space, I think, get support from Riot in a way. Like, I think they get that business. It says teams promoted to tier 1 will adopt a business model similar to that of partner teams in both tier 1 conferences, which should be cool, which means they're going to be able to get funding. They're going to be able to pay their players. I think that is good for allowing anybody to kind of make it in a way. We're going back to the grassroots sense in a little bit, in a little way, which I think is cool. I also like how the article mentions that, quote, we aim to increase accessibility by streaming qualifiers and making it easier to compete. It does make it seem like Tier 3 is going to be around in some capacity. At least Tier 3 is alive.
Because,
it's not getting deleted.
I will say, and we don't really know at all what this looks like yet, everything I've heard, and I think this article hinted at it as well, is that we're going to see some pretty big changes to Tier 3.
Which I'm not necessarily opposed.
Yeah, not necessarily a bad thing. Just we're gonna see big changes. The hinting at the fact that they want to stream games though is definitely a good thing. Telling Tier 3 stories is important. So
the more coverage, the better. The one like problem,
as long as it's not like, hey, we're introducing this co-streaming program and
I've heard that before. That's a lot of fun.
To co-stream, you gotta have a stream.
My one least favorite part about this, real quick, is that we just had this really cool Americas tournament, and there just seems to be no plans of having that in the future. Like, I was looking through the format. I don't think there's any situation where a CBLOL Academy team plays against an NACL team, or like any of the North Conference teams play against the South Conference teams. I feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity.
I think in general, and this is why part of the reason I've said that, like, I feel like this merger is downsizing in disguise, is because, like, there's not much cross-region interaction at all, you know? It's just a reformatting
the only cross-region interaction is like at the very end
during
of
regional playoffs, And you know, we get to play Latin America North in our playoffs. I think that's cool. Like, I think that's a good change, but also like kind of lame at the same time as the only thing. So yeah, I agree. That's kind of a bummer, but maybe there will be another like America's tournament. They just haven't announced it. I don't know.
I think the biggest thing that we can draw is that we're not going to fully understand like if Tier 2 will be in a better or worse spot until we hear more information. They're saying that more announcements will be coming in the coming weeks and years, or in the coming weeks and months, I should say, especially with like the Tier 3 integration. But one thing that is guaranteed, as we can head into our next headline a little bit, is that we have fully shifted from the original system when franchising was announced, with an academy team for every LCS organization, a farm system where you can pick up these newer players, have them develop, and then eventually call them up into the Tier 1 space, into the promotion relegation system, where your goal in Tier 2 is, not necessarily to develop. If you have 5 LCS ready players that want to form a team and they want to win NACL, that is going to be the priority for you as an organization. Out of these two choices, Hawk, which do you think is a better format for the region overall?
So, I mean, Grapes, I'm just going to be straight up. Like, now in hindsight, can we just call the academy system a massive fucking failure? Like,
yeah.
I feel like the only point that academy has in its favor, and it's a big one, is stability for players and staff, right? Because they were getting paid somewhat, for esports, stable jobs to play League of Legends in Tier 2. But teams clearly hated it, didn't want to use it. The region largely ignored it. Like, the academy system, I think, was a complete failure. And as a result, I think promotion relegation is the really obvious better system. Even though, we can sit here and argue like, it should be a developmental league. Like, it's not, right? Like,
I hate it.
It wasn't used well enough as a developmental league to make that the primary goal. So why not let people take matters into their own hands? I think this promotion relegation system is absolutely better for the region. I also think it's better for entertainment value. And and as a result, probably like the tier 2 space in of itself. Again, it's not as good for player stability, but that's about it.
Yeah, I want to push back a little bit in terms of it being a huge failure because, um, there were big players that we have developed that came through the developmental system. You think of Jojo, you think of Danny, you think of APA.
Would they have not been able to do what they did in this system?
I don't know. I mean, I guess we never really will know the full answer to that.
Like,
but I think,
it's quite a hypothetical, but I think that's kind of like my one thing with academies. Like, yeah, there have been success stories, but have there been enough success stories that would have failed otherwise to justify how honestly like complacent the academy system felt for a while? That's like kind of my hypothetical, I guess.
I think that there are like ways that you can think yes or no to that, but at the end of the day, like we'll never fully know. I will say,
and we'll never fully know. Yeah.
if in the perfect world where everybody knows what they're doing and everybody has the full success of our esport and of our region in place, the academy system, the minor league system, is the best way to do things. There's a reason that they're in all the major sports in North America at the very least, like this is how things are run. Obviously, like Premier League and things like that, they're a little bit different with promotion relegation. But here in the U.S., you have farm systems where you can bring in younger players, you can have them develop, learn how to play in a professional setting, and have them be ready for when their time comes in the big leagues. And I think that at the end of the day, the two reasons why this was not successful was, one, financially, esports is just not in a position where it can, sustain that. Whether it's, the streams not, being able to run, like the fact that the NACL was, or the fact that Academy was kind of like relied upon to make revenue for the league is not the correct business model of how you have to be approaching it. Obviously, like it is kind of what happened, especially because you don't have enough money that's like being generated in your main league to even require that to happen. But the point of a minor league system, the point of a developmental league is you save money, or you make money on it, not from like actually the production and the broadcasts and that going well, but because the players that you generate and the players you develop become better, and they become good enough that they like elevate your region as a whole, and they elevate your team, and they make your team money by being successful. Obviously that did not happen, whether because the teams were not interested in it or not. I know there were some people that were interested in it, but at the end of the day, there's a reason that we swapped over to this format. As soon as we made that switch, this had to happen. And so I do think that in the current state of North American esports, North American League of Legends, this is the way to go. I do love how the guest slot allows for anybody to come in, form a team, and make it into the LCS. I think that is the equivalent of the LCS, and make worlds and all that. I think that will be really fun to watch. I just wish that, like, when franchising happened, teams took the academy system and made something out of it. That just, I feel like it was a missed opportunity that might have been a ship that has long past sailed.
Yep, fully agree. Only thing I would add the caveat to is, I do think calling the academy the perfect system in a ideal world, I honestly would even push back on that a little bit, because like all European sports use promotion relegation. It's just like a I think promotion, it just depends on what you're trying to do, but promotion relegation can work even in like a perfect world. So yeah, but I definitely think in the reality that we're in, promotion relegation is the way. And we can sit here and talk about how it should be developmental league all we want, but I just don't think it works in its current, or in the iteration we had. And that's the reality. So, and it still is a developmental league. Like, you can focus on winning and still be focused on developing players.
Absolutely. I mentioned that on Twitter, that there have been teams that are independent that went with a development-oriented roster that ended up having success. I mean, the biggest example of that is the team of the player that we're about to be interviewing in a little bit, and that's Samikin and Blue Otter. Like, bringing those guys in, of course, the purpose was to help them become better as the split went on, but the reason that they wanted that development is not for some other team to pick them up and have success in Tier 1. It was for that team specifically to win and to make it higher and higher. So
and also,
like,
work. If people are worried about, like, like the hypothetical Speak a Licorice team that we joked about in Tier 3 in spring, right? Like, if people are worried about that kind of thing, like, I don't, like, genuinely just develop the talent to be better than the veterans, Like, I mean, if we want to talk about minor league baseball, the most famous like developmental system that we have here in North America, right? Like, there are guys that sit in AAA their whole lives, and they don't really play in the show that much. Like, that's always going to be a reality, but it's up to the people beneath them to become better. So, and like, I know we're still going to clown on teams for picking up washed veterans, but also if that washed veteran promotes into the LCS, like,
maybe he's not a washed veteran anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Be better, I guess. Like, we can't really be mad about that. So
there's still going to be there's still going to be a mix between combining developmental players and more experienced players. Maybe it'll trend more towards the experienced side. Hopefully, especially because that means that like more organizations are getting in. Like, if you're like FaZe or Optic or something, you want back into the LCS, like you can literally just run through the qualifiers with like all the money that you have, just like paying like the best players, and you could probably make it through pretty easily. So like that I think is going to be exciting for our region, and that I'm excited about heading into 2025. Still wish franchising 100% worked, but it seems like at the end of the day, our region just wasn't ready for it, and that is what it is. Our last headline, before we move on to our part 2, is about another league that is starting up play today, I think, as the episode comes out. ACL, the Aegis Champions League, 36 amateur teams that combine Tier 2, Tier 3, and some of the other players around that space, creating some really, really fun rosters that'll be going through a very long season that I think concludes at the end of the calendar year. This is, of course, last year was one of the biggest off-season tournaments. It's going to be even better, in my opinion, this time around. We could talk about a bunch of rosters that interest us here, Hawk, but the question is that before the season even starts, what is your finals pick? Who will be your finals teams, and who will win?
So for those that don't know, I feel like it's fair to say there's like a top 5 in ACL for this split, and then there's a lot of other really good teams too. It's a pretty stacked split for ACL, but Pulsar, Pulsing Gooners, CCG, AOE, Ole Miss, looking like the 5 strong contenders. I believe the rosters are public now. You can go look up those rosters on your own. Grapes, my prediction, I'm going to go for the 2 Pulsar teams. I think they are looking mighty, mighty strong, and I'm very excited to watch them play, and including our friend Samikin, who we have the interview coming up with.
Pulsar is Hoarder, Chad Jungle, Samikin Levitate, and Cryogen, and then the Pulsing Gooners team, which is just an insane name, by the way. They have a lot of the Winthrop core, I believe. I'm having trouble finding their OPGG or their multis right now. But they have Quacker.
Hang on, sorry, let me...
Quacker.
Okay, it's Quacker, Will, Darkwings, Aaron, and Rovex. So that's just an NACL team.
I mean, yeah, like there's, I think, 6 or 7 teams in this league that like could either be like in the promotion tournament or in the NACL. 2 of them were in the promotion tournament, or 3 of them, I should say. But 2 of them were in the NACL last split. We got AOE and CCG coming back with similar rosters, but not fully the same rosters.
AOE is the same. AOE is the same.
They're slightly different because they have Ariandel in the mid lane instead of Onat.
Oh,
that's their one change.
I missed that.
But
Onat's a sub. Okay, I thought they were the same team.
Cozy, City Witty,
but that's like a side grade. It's basically the same team.
And then you have CCG. They have 2 teams technically. One of them is like CCG Glorp, which has Vaken and Ninim, which always is an interesting one. But CCG Esports,
it's Crimson, Kryra, Aljun, Array, and Trevor.
There we go. I would not be surprised to see either of those teams in the finals as well.
Yeah,
if you're gonna say the Pulse teams, I'll say the other 2 teams. I'll say CCG and them. Ole Miss also in the running as well, but I think we haven't seen Asila enough to fully like say that this is an upgrade over Marty just yet, and I think the other 4 teams kind of have a little bit more star power. Other teams that I think are good, really quickly. Straw Hat Crew. They have Dr. Calculus, Frost Forest, Zhao Danny, Sushi, and Kim Down.
This team is hype.
They also have a bio as a sub, which I think is gonna be pretty. Well, we'll see what they do with that. We also have Dorado Gaming White with TC Porsche, Munchie, Kachu, Draxer, and Snow 2. It's the classic like Draxer and friends team.
That team
which I think
is going to be
be
the first one to mental boom this split. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I think I put them in pool 3 on my ballot.
They have I think I had them there as well, but they played in ACL last year. And I think they did pretty good. One other interesting team to me. Let me scroll through. There's a
lot of interesting teams.
Yeah, last one I'll highlight.
ISU's here. Yeah,
Peak Performers, PP, not to be confused with Peak Performance, which was an organization back
where
in
we
2021.
got our tier 3 starts.
Alorum, Kitsuo, Robbie Bob, Sage Wabe, everyone's new favorite hype prospect, and Dardock playing support. This is clearly just a 5 friends team.
Yeah.
They got Sage Wabe in there for some rookie play. I mean, last time a bunch of UST guys came together and played on a pickup team with a rookie ADC. That ADC ended up playing at Worlds, so we'll see how this goes with Sage Wabe.
Yeah. I want to point out, by the way, Pulsing Gooners are the ones that got Ole Miss in their group, so that's cool.
Oh, okay.
That should be a banger.
Fun matchup. I don't know when exactly it is, but make sure to check out ACL as they'll have a bunch of games going on every single Friday night.
Their games are on Mondays and wait, what are they? Ivar sent me a calendar. I think I sent it to you. Hang on.
It's mostly Fridays, but there's a couple of Mondays mixed in there as well. The regular season is almost all on Fridays, I should say. And as we get later into the season, it'll be different days of the week. Yeah, the first game starts tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Mondays and Fridays. Mondays and Fridays are their games. Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it.
We totally weren't asking Ivar about the ACL schedule for any reason.
Well, we'll see what happens. That's going to do it for our headlines. Let's move on to our part 2. We're talking with Samikin on Blue Otter. We are here with a guest on Salty Runback that I feel like is a bit overdue. The mid laner from Blue Otter, Samikin. Samikin, I feel like we've had you on different Salty Runback adjacent things, but not a full episode yet, so welcome.
Hello, I'm glad to be here. Oh God, how do I say this correctly? It's been a long time. I'm so sad that we missed the Americas tournament.
Yeah. Hey, but you guys had, I think I tweeted, you guys were like America's team. You had the run going for a bit there. I mean, I know you didn't get to go to America's proper, but I mean, genuinely, like, I think against expectations, what you all were able to accomplish was so insanely impressive this past split. I hope that at least had some good takeaways.
Well, hold on. Were you watching America's like from the lens of rooting for NA or kind of hate watching?
Oh, you
NA,
hate watch. That's
like,
so good.
This should have been me on the stage.
Oh, I was definitely hate watching NA. Every game that they lost, I was like, Blue Water would have made it farther. Blue Water would have
you guys would have been hungrier.
Yeah.
You guys
Speaking
would have built a dam and blocked the flood of upsets. Good Otter joke right there, guys.
Speaking of hate watching potentially, Worlds just going on right now, 2024, and we saw one of our North American representatives get handed a bit of a loss in 100 Thieves. I have to ask you, as one of the best Vex players that we had in NACLQ in the spring split, would you have gone 0-9 on that stage like Quid did today in Game 3?
Oh God.
Hey, he had one kill. He had
one? Okay, 1-9.
One.
Oh God. Honestly, I think Vex is like such a bad champion right now. Even though the matchup is good for LeBlanc, it's like good for Vex into LeBlanc. Like it's not even worth playing. Like she's like, you'd have to like buff her like 3 times just like for her to even be like playable. I would never pick Vex on stage anymore.
Well, but Samikin, I might have seen a champion get locked in on Tuesday in your match against the University of Health Sciences and Pharmaceuticals of St. Louis in Game 2.
Care
to elaborate on that pick?
It wasn't. It wasn't my idea.
It was a limit test, maybe?
It was a limit test. I was not at World, so
that's fair. That's fair.
I have more liberty of choice in what I pick.
Well,
I see.
We see right now you're in your dorm room at Boston University for your sophomore year. How much of Worlds are you watching? Like, are you watching during class? Because that's something I did a lot when I was in school the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's kind of your schedule these days?
Honestly, I haven't been able to watch much because Wednesdays I have classes from like 10 to 6 p.m. So like World starts at like 8 or 9 for me. So there's like literally no time for me unless I want to stay up for like 15 hours straight, just like getting up like after like 4 hours of sleep, doing homework, and then go watching World for like 2 hours, going to class for 8 hours, coming back, and then just like falling asleep because I'm too tired.
What
But
classes are you taking?
This guy's a
okay,
genius.
so
Is it
for-
just Wednesdays that are brutal,
only
or
Wednesday,
are you just
only
like
Wednesday,
big brain?
only Wednesday.
Okay.
Because I have like 2 discussions and like a lab on Wednesdays along with like 3 of my classes out of 4. So
I see. Okay, that makes sense. I've got to ask actually, what's your major? What are you studying? I don't know if I've ever asked that.
Unfortunately, I am studying data science right now. I was undeclared.
Unfortunately.
I was undeclared for 3 years, and then I found out that people aren't usually undeclared for not 3 years. What? I was undeclared for 3 semesters, and then I found out people usually are undeclared for like 1 or 2 semesters. So I was like really far back, and then I went into computer science for 1 semester, and then I realized I hated coding. No matter how much money I would get, I hated coding. So I switched over to data science because here at BU, there's also like a secondary language requirement, and I tried taking French as well during my computer science like semester, and it was horrible. Like I learned a bit, but like not enough for me to like confidently pass in a second language. So I switched over to data science because there's no second language requirement and there's no coding. So like
Wow.
Okay.
That's
It's like-
tech right there.
it's like the best out of the worst choices.
Well, I know that that's a pretty successful field in general. So
Yeah.
that's not the worst place to be in.
I do have
Yeah.
to say too, the reaction to I was gonna do computer science, but I actually hate coding. You're not remotely the first person I've ever heard say that. So I love how this seems to be a common experience for people that think computer science might be cool until they actually do it. But cool. That's fun. I'm sorry your Wednesday schedule is so brutal, but make sure you watch BU making their NECC debut this fall. Didn't go super well on Tuesday, but they're gonna rise with the new team. So we're excited.
So you are running it back with Boston University. I mean, you guys made top 32 last time, but it seems like there's some roster changes happening for this season.
Yeah. I would say when I first came to BU, I was definitely like the newcomer, and the other 4 players were like the veterans. They've been playing together for like 3 years, 2 years probably. And then now it feels weird me being the veteran and like having to like help for like 4 new players adjust to like collegiate and just like what is it, like team play in general, because they're all like solo queue players. And I would say like there's like a difference of expectations, because for us NECC was mainly like as like a warm up. It was like how last year we played ACL, and then we got dumpster in ACL because ACL is full of like NACL players. Now it's basically the same thing. NECC is like not full of NACL players, but like we're still starting out as a team, so the gap is like still there, and it might even be like bigger than like our old team with NACL players. So like I hope that we're able to like scale up, but NECC is for us just like a training ground of sorts, because
Yeah.
in scrims it's like really hard to get scrim players because I'm like challenger like 1.5 KLP, and then we have like diamonds and masters players, so like a lot of people don't really want to scrim that type of team where like
They don't want to
to
sacrifice their mid laner.
Yeah, they don't want to like have one person just be super sad the whole scrim.
It was
Yeah, that's always the problem with like the non-varsity esports programs, because like you'll have this great team that like runs for a while, and then everyone graduates, and then just like you kind of just are dealt with the class that you're given, and
Yeah.
sometimes it leads to good teams, and sometimes maybe
Mhm.
some teams that need more development than others.
Yeah, I feel like I had the low elo version of that, where when I was playing in my college team, we had like one diamond player, and then everyone else was like gold plat for a while. So I feel like kind of similar vibes, but it was funny watching your match against UHSP, of course, because you were against a former CBLOL mid laner as well. So that was fun. Evrat, shout out. But regardless, okay, I have to ask, when you like BU, like we said, it's not necessarily like an esports school, right? Like it's just like kids, solo queue players coming and they want to play League at their university, right? Which is awesome. Are they like, oh shit, like I get to play with Blue Otter Samikin? Or are they just like, oh, my mid laner's challenger, like who is this guy? Like, is there any like recognition there, or?
Short answer, no, not at all. It's like there are people outside of the League team who are in the gaming club and support us and know of me as of like my NACL run this summer, but they're not. But the people on the team do not know who I am because they don't follow, like they don't usually follow pro play or like amateur. They just like play to play solo queue.
I got you. They're not romp stompers.
Yeah, they're not romp stompers.
Well, let's talk about a year ago when you were maybe in some of those kids' shoes as like that first year in BU, and also just kind of before you started playing in the qualifiers and started playing in the NACL, at least like at the top 16 level. 1 year ago today, so like September 26, 2023, as you're recording this, what were some of the goals that you had and like things that you hoped to have accomplished by today, by a year from now?
Some of my goals from last year that I want to accomplish to now, probably not skip out on like summer qualifiers because for the past 2 summer qualifiers, I believe, outside of like this year, I was in Cambodia, just vacationing it up with my family because I couldn't say no to them because I was like 16, 17 years old, or like 16, 17. So they didn't really want me to leave. They didn't really want me to stay alone in like the United States while they went back. So I like had to go with them. And then so my very bare goal was to be able to play in spring and summer. And then I was able to get that because like after I like started going to college, they didn't care anymore of if I like went back with them because they knew I could take care of myself now. And it like the spring qualifiers like really jump started everything. Well, that and the EG Combine with like all the all the well-known like NACL players that played in spring and like winter, I guess it's winter. No, I guess it's spring now because it's only 2. It's the spring NACL, like Toasty Alex and like all of them. So I got a big mark on my name for that, and then music picked me up, and like the rest is history. Rest in peace, that one team that got disqualified for us.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But you unfortunately did not accomplish your goal, I guess, because you did not play in the summer qualifiers because you were doing something else, which was maybe arguably better, which is good.
I'm suffering from success.
I love it. Oh my god. So we can I guess kind of go step by step then. Aporia / Blue Otter in the spring split. I mean, this was, a split where we were excited to watch you, I think, right? But didn't exactly know what to expect. Obviously, far exceeded, anything we could have expected. Did you have any, like, favorite moments, least favorite moments, kind of meh moments? Like, do you have, like, a rose, a bud, and a thorn, if you will, from, like, your spring split on Blue Otter?
Oh, I guess the best, not the best, okay. The thorn, okay, I'll start with the worst. The thorn was definitely when we thought we lost in quarterfinals because at that point, we weren't really like a team of friends. We were a team of teammates and companions that just like happened to play together, and they happened to need a mid laner. So it was all like by happenstance that we got to play together because I didn't actually know anyone on that team that well. I didn't know Lawrence, Music, Rovex, or Lynx. And then I guess the growing point. I'm sorry, what is this bud again?
It normally means like something you're looking forward to, but you already like it's already happened. So if you just want to give your most average Blue Otter off spring split story.
The most average?
Yeah, the most middle of the road.
Yeah, something that you would never talk about, like in terms of like your best or the worst, but like something you think is kind of interesting.
It's like something that happened,
Something that we would never talk about. Oh God.
Well, I don't want you like unlocking any secrets or anything like, but.
No, I will say.
Nah, do the Dunzo Manifesto. No.
Yeah, if any of our like voice comms from our coach were to ever be leaked, there would be a Dunzo manifesto.
Was Thin Uncle Phil whipping you guys into shape?
Yeah, you could say something like that.
And then your Rose. What was the best part? I mean, there was a bunch of good parts. So
Oh, I think. Oh, there's so many good parts. What am I supposed to say? Um, I think the Rose was definitely the first time my team put their trust in me as a rookie player to pick my own picks and not pick for the meta. So like being able to pick like Lux, being able to pick like Aurelion Sol when the meta, like when literally no one else played it, and like the meta became like Lucian, Tristana, Quirky, they knew that if I were to be forced to play on those champs when I'm not ready or comfortable yet, that I would not be able to perform well or like up to the point where we would be able to win against the top teams. So they put, in a sense, they put like a lot of their eggs in one basket for me to be able to like play my own champions, which is something I really appreciated because I was able to show off a lot of my individual skills rather than just becoming like a meta slave.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think the that Lux game is one of my favorite memories. I think we talked about it in an earlier
That was
episode,
like
but
when
that
we
was one of
knew.
our
Yeah.
that was one of our first memories. That was one of our best memories of the whole year. Just watching that game on Music's POV stream, like it was great.
Are you an anime guy, Samikin?
Uh I've been getting into more anime recently this
Okay.
season.
Have you watched Jujutsu Kaisen?
Yeah, I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
my goat. I feel like the game 5 of Lux against Winthrop was like Yuji hitting his first Black Flash. Like that was the moment where we knew. And Grapes is sitting here being
I'm
like,
gonna
"What the fuck are
pretend
these guys
like I
talking about?"
understand,
Yeah.
understand what's going
Wait.
on here.
Wait, when was the first Black Flash again? I remember the
It was-
one with Nobara as the first one, but there might be one before that.
There was the one where like Toto was trading him against Hanami, and he's like,
Oh,
"You gotta hit the
yeah.
Black Flash." Yeah. So yeah, Grapes is really confused.
What a
But yeah,
pull.
I feel like that to me is like that moment where it's like, oh, he's becoming a sorcerer. Like he carries game 5, wins a tournament, and it's like, oh my god, this kid's insane.
Yeah, and then like for the rest of the split, like during the promotion tournament, even though you guys are coming off of like the loss to Ole Miss, I believe in the semifinals, like we going in, like trying to explain this team to like some of the NACL talent and like just watching the games. After we saw you guys win, whenever we saw one of those wacky picks get locked in with a Lux or something, like we were like, okay, it's gonna be a good Blue Otter game, and it always was. I mean, I remember like those promotion tournament games. The Lux did a lot of work. It's good.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to one quick thing that you did mention at the start, which was getting eliminated in the quarterfinals and by Morningstar White. We could say the name. We're not on Riot or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's so interesting to me, this situation, because as you said, like this is kind of just a team that's put together from the like just as teammates, not necessarily as friends coming in, and you were this rookie player. If Vaporia got eliminated in the quarterfinals, like there's a good chance that even if the roster sticks together, you guys don't make it to the promotion tournament, and B, like that roster could even look different going into the second qualifier of that split. And so just thinking like what could have been different if that situation like went a little bit differently, like
Yeah.
it is actually so insane to me. But I mean, it led to some pretty good things, obviously.
Yeah, I value so much. Like I value personal experience or like just experience in general so much, like hands-on. Like the main reason why I like am sad that we don't get to make it to the Americas tournament is because I really wanted like nationals experience, quote unquote. It's like how I'm gonna sound so dumb when I say this. It's like how in Haikyuu, where
I know this one.
It's like how in Haikyuu where Okawa never gets to make it to finals because of Ushiwaka,
Yeah.
and then in his last year he gets defeated by Karasuno, and then Karasuno makes it to like nationals, and like they like get that experience, and like that's how they level up. Like I think that's like me and Blue Otter, except if we made it to America's tournament, it would just basically be the Haikyuu storyline.
You guys would have won the whole thing.
Honestly.
Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, it's still
No,
it's still
this is
going.
a-
I haven't
this is-
read. I haven't read
Well,
the
yeah.
manga.
So I've not seen the most recent movie.
So I've seen the
I need
movie,
to watch
but-
it. Oh, I haven't.
It's a good
Okay.
movie.
Oh,
Well, I gotta watch
God.
the movie to catch up.
I'm
But
not caught up, unfortunately.
okay, Samikin, tag each Blue Otter player as a Karasuno player.
Oh, my
Like, who are you and who are your teammates?
Oh God. We're talking about only the main players, right? Because I don't remember the names of the side.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
there's only
that's
5
fine.
players you got to assign, so it's all good.
Okay.
Unless you
yeah.
want to include Lawrence and Lynx, yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Lynx was definitely Asahi. He's definitely with the ace
Yeah,
of the
the-
team.
And,
He's
also got
and
the hair.
the experience, got the hair. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
okay,
good
I
one.
like it. I like it.
Honestly, wait. Okay, I got it. Okay, music was fuck no. Wait. Rovex was Kageyama. Rovex was definitely the Kageyama. He had the drive. He had the temper for it. He had
He's
the
also like super edgy on Twitter sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
that also helps.
yeah. All he thinks about is League of Legends. And I guess music would be the team captain, Daichi, most likely. Yeah. He's like becoming he's becoming like a psychiatrist now. It's basically like a police officer. Oh wait, you probably didn't see that part yet.
Yeah, spoilers alert. Jeez.
Okay. It doesn't matter about the overall
Yeah, I'm
plot
not
of the
too
story.
worried.
It's fine. Okay. And then I don't want to put myself as the main character. What? Okay, I'll be Tanaka. I'll be the guy with like the insane mental. Because that's
Okay,
what everyone
true.
tells me.
Real.
Okay. And then the last one, Lawrence and Quacker, probably Nishinoya. Lawrence was more like personality, and Quacker was more of the rock in the as the libero.
That's actually I think you
like
actually
it.
like nailed it every single one.
Yeah,
except,
that's pretty good. Wait, who's
Except I
Levitate?
think I might be giving you the main character. I don't know. Just
I'm not
because
sure.
of the two rookies coming in, things like that. The unique play styles. I like
Mhm.
it.
Oh wow, yeah, actually, yeah, wow. But I'm not short, so it's fine.
That's the one win. Okay, good. All right. Well, talking about some of the transitions that you guys made going into the summer split. Obviously, when Blue Otter promoted, there was conversations about like what the roster was gonna look like. I think an assumption was that a good chunk where you guys were gonna stick together. But we've seen rosters like go into the NACL and then just change up their whole roster going in. Like Mirage Alliance had to sub out a couple of pieces, but there were also teams like Lit who ran it all back. What were some of those conversations like going between spring and summer? Were you ever considering leaving to go to another team? Or is the goal to stick together as 5? And then how did you guys end up with Levitate and Quacker stepping in?
I think our situation. I don't know how like other NACL teams that or NACLQ teams that made it to NACL like do their system, but like for me, it's pretty common. It would make sense that you first offer the players who like want to stick together. You would allow them a spot on the NACL team because it's what they earned. But then I also know that a lot of
All the time.
yeah, a lot of the teams definitely always make changes, whether it be like on the team side or on the player side.
Yeah.
But for Blue Otter, Lawrence and Lynx left of their own accord because they had other things to pursue. Lawrence had like some other like League of Legends related job, I think, in like ERL, so he's gonna be like a coach/scout there. And then Lynx was busy with school, so he didn't want to play. He didn't want to fully commit onto a team unless it was enough for him to pay off like his student debt, or like basically enough to get him through school without having to like get an extra job on the side. So that's why those two left, because we were definitely ready to just run it all back. At the end of qualifiers 2 and the promotion tournament, we definitely felt more like a family than just like a team of. We definitely like grew from a team of companions to a family, especially with Phil sticking with us, and then Sneezes coming in, and then Blue Otter sticking with us the whole time too. And I think part of the reason why we were all able to stick together is mainly just because Blue Otter is like a new org to NACL, so they didn't have the money or funding to be able to like get a lot of other players. So that I'm sure that's a part of it. But I'd like to think that they gave us their good graces because we did help them secure a spot in NACL. So
Yeah.
tryouts come around, and then Levitate tries out. Phil says he hates Levitate because he's an OQ player. He was like,
Nice.
"Can we get anyone else?" And then Robex was like, "Yeah, let's get my good friend City Windy in here. He hasn't played like ADC in a while, and he like managed jungle and solo queue, but he'll be a good ADC player." I was like, and then Phil was like, "Yeah, just get me Levitate." I was like, "Okay, so Levitate is our ADC,"
Oh.
and then Quacker. It was either us between Quacker and Janitor. This was before we knew Winthrop was getting a spot because they bought their spot as like the third NATL qualifier team.
Right.
Because like the team left, and then it was like I think people like underestimate Quacker's ability a lot, mainly because he's just been put onto like lower level or like lower placing NACL teams in the past for like the past few splits that people forget how good he is on like carry champions, especially when like the meta like in most pro play scenes are like it is like mainly tanks. So like when you put a person who like can mainly play a lot of these bruisers into these tanks while also being able to play the tanks as well, I think he's a very versatile player, and he's the good like rock that we needed as like a newer NACL team with 2 rookies.
Yeah. Speaking of being underestimated as well, given the 2 rookies on the team, everybody else has mostly been on lower placing NACL teams. There was a big gap between community expectations and what Blue Otter ended up doing. So, Sammy, I've got a bit of a 2-part question here for you. One is, how do you feel the team was able to, what do you feel like was the biggest proponent of your guys' success despite those expectations? And do you think you have a moment in which everything started to make sense and we started winning games? Because, of course, you guys were on that, 2-1 run for a while or 1-2 run for a while. But then we started actually really beating teams. So, what do you think was the moment in which everything changed? And then how do you feel that Blue Otter ended up being better than the rest?
Oh, God. The cursed 1 win into 5 losses run. Anyways,
yeah, everyone saw the win over AoE and we're like, yes, Blue Otter. And then you guys took a game off of like another
Dragon
team.
Steel,
like, yes,
yeah.
Blue Otter. And then
It's like,
okay, oh no, Blue Otter. And then they came back, so it was good.
Hey, I do want to say, sorry, but to derail you again, I did tell Grapes, going into promotion tournament, there was 3 weeks left in regular season. He's like, I'm worried about Blue Otter because they have an extra game left to play. I'm like, I think that's an advantage for this team, and I was.
Hey, that
right,
extra game was against FlyQuest, and hey, I mean, you guys proved me wrong, but
you guys
give
got
us
them,
some slack
so.
for being a little worried.
Honestly, I think the main reason we lost is because we were high on our hubris, even though we only had 1 win and 4 series losses. Because we were like, yeah, all these teams are shit except for Dragon Steel and Fear, and then we just lose to Winthrop and AoE or not AoE. We lose to Winthrop and then CCG, and then we were like, okay, after we lost to CCG, we were like, shit, maybe we do just suck. And then Phil was like, nah, these guys still suck. You guys just suck more every time. We were like, we should be winning against these teams theoretically because we always beat them in scrims, and then after the 5th series loss, we were we just kept losing scrims. We were like, oh shit, well, we lost scrims, we're losing matches, what do we do now? And then we went into the next game as we went to the next game not putting too much pressure on ourselves because it was TLC, because we expected to lose against TLC and we expected to win against the last 2 teams that we were going to play against, which was DSG and one other team. So we didn't expect to win against TLC. We expected to put up a really good fight. And then we won against TLC 2-0, and that was basically what sparked our second win to let us go all the way 4-5, beat TLC, beat FlyQuest, and then beat DSG. So I guess the turning point was definitely when we beat TLC as a coherent team without making too many faults in our own gameplay, because I believe that we are definitely a team that prides ourselves on being able to play macro very well and being restrained for the most part in our gameplay, except for I guess like maybe like late game where like someone gets caught out and then we have to like fight 4v5 and outhands people. But like outside of that, we like do a lot of macro really well because it's what we were taught to like, because Phil loves to teach how to like get players better even past the first semester, not semester, what? After the first split of being a team. It's like accumulated knowledge where he doesn't teach us how to win like certain games, he teaches how to win like consistently throughout every single scenario that should be plausible, that is like consistent. Like Baron throws, like enemy teams doing Baron throws, us doing Baron objectives, like setup, us like being on mid waves, being on top waves when we need to be, being on dragon timers, like knowing how to play poke comps, like being there on time before the enemy team gets there, being able to like engage. Well, I wouldn't bother you with like all the specifics, but like basically Phil taught us the fundamentals, and we had to use our own individual skills to be able to bring those fundamentals together. And I believe that's what made us a really good team. And I believe that was the turning point where everything started to click.
That's awesome. It's almost like enabling you guys and your individuality, which is super cool. Moving forward, Grapes, unless you have any follow-ups to that, then it brings us to the playoffs run. You guys played a lot of series. Do you have any favorite moments from your playoffs run where you all did the lower bracket thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of series you guys played, so pick carefully.
Honestly, I'm so bitter that we lost to Supernova twice that it's literally all I can remember from playoffs, except for like the match results, like 3-2 DSG and like 3-2 CCG. No, what was it? Who's the other team? Withrow? No, it wasn't. Was it Withrow?
You guys beat Disguised.
Oh yeah, this way.
And that was the crazy. You talking about Baron throws? That was the crazy Baron throw game. Game 5 against Disguised. I was losing my fucking mind.
Oh god, I remember that game being really hard, even though we were up like 8K gold.
Yeah, I mean, Matt. It was all Matt could talk about on the broadcast. He's like, I don't care how much Blue Otter is winning. They should lose because I think they're comp gapped. And then you guys won the game because music is like just him. I guess I don't know. But you also
Zoe too.
had Zoe, dude. Because I literally was talking about the series with Josh and Joshi and I was saying, I'm like, I think you can trace your guys' win back to 2 plays. One is you hit before the first Baron consecutive bubbles on Minui and then Tenacity and completely destroyed both of them and like got first Baron to keep you guys ahead. And then the second game was the second Baron rather was just like music being like nuts. I don't even know. Like that was crazy, but
that was crazy.
Yeah, you guys popped off. It was so fun to watch.
You know, the first thing after the game ends, Phil unmutes himself after the Nexus explodes and says, "Yeah, we would have won that even if music didn't steal the Baron because they missed all their ultis." He was just being the first thing he does after we win that 3-2 match was be a hater.
Not even lifting you guys up after a long 5-game series. It's just to be fair, they did miss a lot of ultimates in that last fight. I do remember that game. But yeah, I mean that was a super fun playoff series to watch. But you guys ended up kind of stepping away or ending your season with that loss to Supernova. What was it like kind of after building up that relationship with all those guys, like potentially like finishing the season like that and like I don't know, I don't want to like ask what you're doing in the off season or for next year because nobody really knows just yet, but did it feel kind of final in a way that like this could be the end of something?
No, like to just literally word by word quote what Phil and everyone else was thinking, or what Phil said and what everyone else was thinking, it was like we should have won against Supernova in that best of 5 in the lower bracket, and it feels like it feels almost like not real that we lost because we were just like theoretically we were just like out macroing them like almost at every like most of the games, and then we just lost to ourselves, which I guess is like the downfall of every NACL team. But like it was even more so because we were feeling the high of winning two best of fives, like basically, well, two best of fives in 1 week, and then we were ready to get into the gauntlet to play against like the top three teams, and then play against the STL like the week after. That I feel like we weren't careful enough about beating the teams that were already in front of us. We were just thinking about the future too much, which is like, which is like feels really bad to lose in that way. I'm sorry, what was the original question? I just like was just rambling on.
Just like, did it feel bad that, it could have been the last, um, like run with that team? Or did it feel like you guys were like saying goodbye, like going away, like leaving summer vacation and going back to school, leaving all those guys at summer camp?
Oh no, I feel like I'm gonna be good friends with all of them throughout like each of their times in NACL and each of and my whole time in NACL, which I hope is a long time. Well, maybe not a long time because I want to eventually hit LCS soon, not like spend like 5 years here. But yeah, I don't feel like we ever said like goodbye, like in the sense that we would never talk to each other or like
Right.
treat each other like less than friends type of thing. Because from what I've heard, that there are people and players and like coaches that like basically don't talk to each other anymore after they're done their split because they just see it as a job. But we were basically a family of Blue Otter. We had like so many content pieces together that I think it's still going to be rolling out eventually. Once like it's like finalized, there's going to be I hope that a core of Blue Otter stays, even if I'm not on it. Although I would like, it would still be nice to be on it because I know that Phil is probably one of the best coaches that the tier two space has to offer. But it would be nice to keep running it back. But I know that not everyone would want to because of like obligations and because of like wanting to achieve higher things. I know Blue Otter is probably not the best org to get like a higher brand recognition, stats name recognition out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever the future may hold, it really was like getting to watch your season throughout 2024 was it was pretty amazing, and it was really fun. And that Blue Otter team, I mean, definitely fell in love with it. Sam, again, before we switch gears a little bit towards talking about your fun champion pool, do you have any closing thoughts about your season? Also, looking forward, goals for next year, stuff like that.
Oh god, I just thought about this. It's so funny. I think it would be it's really funny to compare. I think it would be really fun to compare this Blue Otter team to the Golden Children of like what is it, LCK, where it's just like Gumayushi Kiria, like Faker, like that whole team where like their whole family and like people love watching them play because they like bounce off their energy bounces off each other so much. I feel like we're like the T1 of tier two and
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah, that's it. I think it's really funny to think of it like that.
I thought you
love
were gonna
it.
go another way with that and say you're like the Griffin of like 2019 Griffin, where like everyone like goes out and like goes be a part of a bunch of different really cool things. Like, hey, could happen too. Who
True,
knows?
yeah.
All right. Well, Samikin, last thing we really have prepared for you here is we have a tier list of League of Legends champions here, and everyone knows that you're a mage player. You like to play Lux, Hue, Zoe, whatever. It's not necessarily the most orthodox champion pool. So we're gonna have you put them on a tier list, but not a meta reliant tier list, but a Samikin tier list. So I don't know, Grapes. How do we want to do this? Are we just, do we want to
Okay.
name a champion or
Here-
what?
Here's what we should do. I have a list of all the champions, Samikin, that you played in the 2024 season, and then what we're gonna do is go through each of them, and then you can put them on one of these tiers. And Hawk, you can explain the tiers because I know
Okay.
you wrote the categories.
Yeah. So we have 5 tiers. We can change any of them and we can add more, whatever. But we have 100% win rate, Samikin special, not bad, if my team asks ... and terrible. So basically, like I think the idea is like how likely you are to pick certain champs is really kind of what we're getting at. So and again, this is for you specifically. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Are we happy with these tiers? Do we want to change anything?
Yeah, are there any changes you want to make?
Can I see the tier list in front of me? I
Oh,
feel like
yeah.
I feel like I forget some tiers if I don't see it. Also, my
me
camera's like dying. Oh my god.
let me switch my capture here.
So
Yeah, the focus is it's okay.
as Hawk is doing this, I want to clarify a little
there
bit
we go.
about what things are gonna look like. It'll be 17 different champions that you played in 2024, and it's including ACL champs from Abandoned Kittens, your old roster over there. So we got a lot of different stuff to get into, and we'll start off with let's start off with the classic, the one that we all know is your favorite champion. That's Hue. You have 19 games of Hue. That's the most out of any of your champions here. Not the Zoe. It's Hue, one of the newer guys.
I wonder why it's not Zoe. Let's see. Man, just because I played the most Hue, it means that it's not gonna be 100% win rate because we just keep losing. We lost like 5 games in opens in like. Okay. Anyways, is this a special? Yeah, I would say this is a special. I don't really see that many other people playing Hue for some reason. I think he's super strong though. Interesting. Yeah, I think
like
it's a special.
I'd consider it a special. I feel like Hue is more meta than something like Lux, but like I do generally feel like I'll be like, oh, Samikin Hue, whereas for other people I'm like, oh, okay, they're playing Hue. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I like Samikin special for this one.
I mean, we can get it out of the way. Let's talk about the Zoe a little bit. 4-0 this season, so that can automatically go on the 100% win rate tier. My question to you actually is just like having that like label on you as like being a Zoe player, like, or just being a one trick or like a really good at one champion kind of in that way. Like, what is that like, and how do you kind of
is it an
compartmentalize
advantage
that in your brain?
I say it's an advantage because I've expanded my pool so much that even if they ban Zoe every game, I'll still have like 5 to 10 other champions to be able to pick. So it's an advantage at that point because like they fear Zoe so much, even though she's like not a very good champion. Don't tell anyone. So they fear Zoe so much that they will always like waste bans on it, even when there's like many like meta counter picks where like Zoe's not gonna be good against Lucian or like Corki or Tristana, but like they still ban it, which is like perfect because the rest of my team can get their main champions. So I would say it's the 100% win rate. I think it is 100% win rate.
It is 4-0.
Okay.
Highest win rate.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think you've ever lost on the pick in competitive, at least that I could find. I've heard conflicting reports that you've either only lost 1 game or you've lost no games.
I've lost 1 game to semifinals qualifier to Ole Miss.
Oh, is that true? Oh, it's because okay. I've now realized this data is going to be incomplete because I don't think there's qualifier games from the spring split.
Yeah,
like,
you're
on
definitely
Wikipedia.
right. That's okay. Well,
but I do remember that game.
That was the only game I've lost. Yeah.
They like had it out for you. Like they were like, we are going to let this go open, and then we are going to focus our entire draft on making sure that Zoe has 0 fun. I do remember that.
It was so funny too because like game 1 we didn't pick it because we thought they banned it because everyone else has banned it so far. Up from qualifiers 1 to qualifiers 2, yeah. We just assumed it's gone.
That's hilarious. Oh my god. Yeah. See, I love the Zoe though because based on its place in the tier, like you could say, it's not a very good champion. I don't care if they ban it, but like it's not an empty threat though. Like when teams don't ban it, it tends to go poorly for them. So I still like it.
Okay, well, we'll go from highest win rate, quote unquote, to lowest. We got a Nico in here with Owen, who was 0-3 this season.
What?
Seems like you're not a big Nico fan.
Oh, thank God! I was.
Oh wait, again, not counting the qualifiers because one of my first memories of you was when you had the Nico as you like turned into a minion I forget who exactly
Oh,
this
so
was
against
but you-
Abandoned Kittens.
It
Wasn't it?
was
It was against
against-
your former
Yeah, it was
team.
I do remember
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. After the game, they were talking to me like, yeah, every midwave we were like, watch out for Nico, and then the one wave we didn't call it out. Devin walks up and hits the wave in melee range and gets Nico ulted and gets burned. Yeah, we get burned.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah. Oh god, I would put this. Personally, I think Nico for me is not bad because she's a lane bully and like she fits my style, but to that point, it definitely has to go in if my team asks, because Nico is like kind of like bad right now, and like after laning phase, my playstyle currently is not very suited for Nico. Trying to find flanks, trying to like go in and be the first engaged. It's like not my playstyle, so I would usually not gravitate towards that currently. I would have to like practice more.
That tracks. Okay, Grapes, you have the list of champions. I'm gonna just keep tossing it back to
Yeah,
you.
I actually sent the list here in our little group chat as well, so we can take a look. Samikin, is there? We can do a bit of a speed round real quick if that's all right as well.
Yeah,
If
we're
you're-
probably-
I'm gonna
we're
fire off.
probably-
I'm gonna fire off a couple of champions and just without many words, just put them in one of the tiers. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Aurelion Sol.
Oh, not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
Let's go the Lux 4 and 5.
Special. Samikin special.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I see a Yone, which I had no idea you played, but apparently you played in ACL one year.
Yeah.
Do you have that Faker Yone where it's
You won. Technically, it's 100% win rate.
Faker does not play a great Yone.
I currently, if my team asks for Yone, I'll play Yone, but I have been practicing because Yone is kind of broken right now,
Yeah, he's a good champ.
unfortunately.
Through the list that you see right here, we have 4 of the 5 tiers filled out. Give me one champion that absolutely belongs in the terrible tier.
Oh god, do I play terrible champions? Oh god.
That's true. You could actually just never play the terrible champion.
Oh
That's a good
yeah,
point.
Annie. I hate Annie.
When did you play Annie? When was that?
Oh god, when Annie was meta, it was horrible because I didn't want to play Annie, but my team always wanted me to pick Annie.
I'm seeing you played 2 games of it in the promotion tournament. You lost both of them.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Okay. All right. Any other champions catching your
Any
eye right
other-
now?
Oh god.
Finish up the list.
Ezreal is if my team asks, and Talia is my 100% win rate champion.
That is true. Samikin
Ooh.
Talia is nice. I mean, I think Darkwings also has a really good Talia, but I would be. I think you two are like probably 2 best players of it.
Oh,
in the
also
league.
Aurora. Aurora is definitely my 100% win rate, even after like 20 nerfs.
Yeah,
Did we
that
ever
was
get
a-
to see it on stage?
Yeah,
I
no,
wanna
that was
see it.
a playoff specialty. I think he
Oh!
whipped it out in the
Right.
Yeah, I
ESG
played one
series
time.
or
Yeah.
the Supernova series. Or
Could
something.
you also play Aurora better than Quid did during Worlds today?
I cannot speak. I did not see that game yet.
It was interesting.
If I say what I think, I'll get fired.
It was a roller coaster to say the
It
least.
was incredibly upsetting, but also very entertaining for what it's worth. Yeah.
All right, speaking of Vex, where does Vex go?
Oh, not bad. I think Vex is not bad. Not bad. Oh god.
It's like the champion's not good, but you're really good at it, so it balances out to not bad.
It's like, no, yeah, it's like no. It pains me to say that. Yeah. Syndra is not bad. Tristana is if my team asks for it, and Ori is. I would say, it's not a special, so I would put it in not bad. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Corki's probably my best AD champion so far, so I would put it
Ooh.
in like special or 100% win rate.
Ooh. Okay. How confident are we feeling?
I forget, was this pre-package or post-package?
This
Corki that
post-package.
You're playing a lot of it.
It was
Yeah.
post-package, post-lethality Corki.
Oh my
Post
god, the
Strike
Hail of Blades collector Corki
It was
right
so
after the rework
stupid.
was the
Oh my God.
craziest shit ever. I remember playing like bruisers and getting one shot. All right, so lethality Corki's up here, but maybe regular Corki is a Samikin
Oh.
special.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
All right. I like it. I like it.
I think we've got 2 more. One of them is a Zir, which you have a pretty good win rate on according to Leaguepedia at the very least.
Really? I feel like I'm stuck on Azir. Anyways, I would say Azir's not bad. I haven't honestly, we haven't been able to play Azir at all on Blue Otter, so like, I feel rusty on that champion.
All right, and that last champ is another one that you kind of popped off on, but I see a lot of the stats were from
ACL.
Aegis, and that's
Yeah.
Ari.
Yeah, I would say, according to Phil, Ari is one of my worst champs
Oh.
ever.
Real quick, quick question. I'm going through your match history right now. I see in the winter split you played an Ari game. You went 19-3-14, and then in the like playoffs you played another Ari game and you went 15-4-16. Like, do you remember any of these Ari games? Like those are crazy scorelines.
So
right
who
there.
are we gonna believe? The results-based analysis or the Phil? That's the question.
True.
Oh god, I would say she's not bad. I think I'm gonna have to like relearn her with the new e-buffs, but I think she's like not up there yet.
Yeah, I feel like she wasn't super meta during summer split, so I can kind of see that. Okay, I feel like we got like a nice like bell curve sort of thing
Yeah.
here. Like
Yeah.
you know, not a lot of stuff not bad, but we
You
got
really
like the
hate Annie,
champs.
is what I'm learning.
Yeah,
Yeah, we hate Annie.
I
Fuck
hate Annie
Annie.
so much. I hate Annie meta. Worse
Dude,
than Victor meta.
Annie's boring. I'm with you on that. You're kind of based.
Yeah.
So that's every champion that you played, except for potentially during the qualifiers, because again, the stats not necessarily available because
Mhm.
there's
I don't
some
think there's
Riot
anything that
API
we're
issues there.
forgetting. Like, I
Is
don't
there
know.
anyone that you're like, I definitely played this that we're just not remembering right now?
I feel like
I think
okay, no.
it's
I was
close.
gonna say LeBlanc, but I don't think I played LeBlanc at all this year.
I mean, shoot, if we
Um,
want to throw LeBlanc on the tier list, I don't. We could.
Oh god.
We could. It's up to you.
Yeah, LeBlanc is if my team asks for it. It's not. It's not. I haven't played it, but it's also not good. Oh man, I fucking love Morgana, but like Morgana's so bad mid lane. Oh,
That's a Samikin special if it ever
that
gets
is a
buffed.
special.
I like it.
Morgana mid lane.
Is there any other like pocket pick that you like would be so down to whip out if it was
Oh.
like if it became meta that like you want to like share with the world right now?
Oh,
before
I
we
would
wrap
be
up the show?
so down to play Misfortune mid,
Ooh.
but unfortunately,
What?
we didn't have time to play Misfortune
AD
mid.
or AP?
AD. Okay.
Wait, you gotta like walk me through how this pick functions.
No, I
like,
think- I think
are
it
we
was
just looking to
played.
like skirmish with our jungler or something?
I
or
think it
what?
was played in NACL.
Yeah,
Was
Darkwing's
Yeah.
played it a few times.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay.
It was
I didn't remember that.
it's mainly a smolder counter pick, and you pick
Oh.
it with Lilia to go Lilia Misfortune mid jungle. So yeah,
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. Lilting bullet time.
a little
vibe.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
All
it.
right.
All right, that's a tier list right there. All right, so coaches for next split, take a good screenshot of this playing
shit.
against Samikin. No, yeah, that's really what we've got. Talk. I do think genuinely something that makes for me has been so fun to watch is your unique champion pool, and not only that, I know way earlier in the interview you talked about like both your team's willingness to believe in your champion pool, but then also like you know when you're at your best. It's been a ton of fun to watch. But before we let you go, any shout outs, any closing thoughts, anything else you want to say to all the friends of the show?
Oh god. Make sure to like and subscribe because I every time I look into like Salty Runback, I just see like I'm the only like in there. So like I need to see.
Hell
my
yeah! Hit that like button.
My
That's the
goat, I
content
like this
brain.
guy. I like this guy.
All right, thank you so much, Samikin. Make sure to follow Samikin as he plays on the. I forget. Is it the Pulsar or is it Pulsing Gooners? Which one are you?
It's
Which one are you on?
Pulsar.
Okay.
The
You're
first
not one of the
The-
gooners.
The Pulsar
No.
roster as they compete in ACL. There's a lot of familiar faces there, obviously, that you played with before. So
Mhm.
we're looking forward to watching that, and we're looking forward to seeing what's next this season, Samikin. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Thank you very much to Samikin for speaking to us. It was a longer interview, but I think it was a very good one. We
It was a
got
fun one.
fun, juicy stories out of him, as well as, of course, figuring out what he's going to be playing on Polestar in the ACL. Got that whole champ pool this year.
True. Yeah, we scouted him for all the coaches out there. Yeah, Samikin's always great to talk to, and I mean definitely, I think Grape's one of my favorite stories from 2024 has been Blue Otter as a whole, and specifically Samikin. Shout out to all the players on that team. I think we have a lot of friends on the show on that team. Music, I know, is a friend of the show. Levitate is a friend of the show. Quacker. We've had all of them on.
We haven't had music on for a full episode, but
Not for a full episode, but we've had him for yeah. So, but everybody else has done an interview, I think, on the show. So we love the Blue Otter guys. Yeah. Follow us on all of our social media. Follow Samikin on his social media. I should have pulled it up. It's probably like at Samikin LOL if I had to guess, or something like that.
Yep. That's his Twitch. I think Samikin TW is his Twitter.
Okay, thank you. So make sure you, it'll be in the description, his Twitch and his Twitter. Make sure you follow Samikin. Make sure you check out Boston University and their quest through NECC, streaming on Tuesday evenings. You've also got ACL on Mondays and Fridays with the Pulse Star team. Be sure to follow that. Shout out to NACL in general. Just make sure to watch those games. It's probably going to be a really, really good split. We've been really excited to be a part of it as spectators. But and follow us at Hawkcast, at Speedy Grapes, at Salty Runback Pod. If you don't think Samikin is going to make finals in the ACL, you can take what we said with a grain of salt. But I'm telling you, you're damn wrong. Polestar's going all the way. I've been Hawk. That's been Grapes. We'll see you next time.